Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Calfkicksports. I'm Zash, and today we are joined by Cage Warriors World Champion and European Flyweight #1 fighter in the world, Shaj Superman Haque. Just an honor and fantastic performance against a very tough opponent in Mikel Martioni. Are you back to training, or are you taking some time off with your family at the moment?
Yeah, I'm not really taking time off. I'm taking a week rest. I mean, I've had a long camp as well. So I've got my nephew getting married next week. So I've just got a few things happening. So I'm just enjoying the moment. I'm taking a little bit of a break from training, but I'll be straight back in there as soon as things settle down a little bit.
Awesome. And obviously, before we get into the MMA stuff, I know you're an expecting dad. Is dad level strength 2 coming?
Yes. Yeah, dad strength level 2, definitely. Yeah, that's kind of why I really want to get this fight done. Got a lot of things to prepare for, let's say, right now. And no, I'm excited. Been through it once now, so I feel like I'm probably more nervous this time than I was last time. Because I know what to expect.
Fair enough, man. So, you've been quite vocal. You obviously want to get into the UFC. And you want to be the first Bangladeshi fighter in the UFC as well. Has the UFC been in touch at all, or is it just crickets at the moment? What's the situation with that, Shaj?
Yeah, I'm not sure at the moment. My manager said he's trying to get in contact with them, so I'm just kind of waiting to hear back. But I'm really not sure what they're doing with the UFC. I don't know. I feel like it's very political and why they want to. It's not so much about just winning fights. So I don't know. I do believe that I deserve that shot. I don't think there's anybody else I can beat to prove that. I think I've done more than a lot of other fighters who have got into the UFC have done. So I feel like it's a little bit unfair that I still haven't got my shot. But I enjoy the sport, so I still train, I still fight, I'm still motivated.
Yeah, and you look phenomenal in the last two performances. The last performance was just incredible. Your movement was amazing. You barely got touched. You got a clean face even a few days after the fight as well. Were you expecting it to not be that easy, but did you expect to dominate as easily as you did, in some ways?
Yes, in a way, I did feel, I think I was more impressed that he kind of kept that pace up for the full five. I thought he would slow down and then I would be able to put more pressure on him. So
Yeah.
I really did think I would get a finish by the fourth or fifth round in this fight, especially with the pace that he was coming at. But credit to him, he kept a good pace up and he kept pressuring me, so I wasn't able to put him on his back foot as easy. But I was just constantly landing shots while he was coming at me, so I felt quite comfortable in there. I didn't really feel like, oh no, like I'm losing at any point. I was actually quite shocked at the scorecard to see that I
Yeah.
had lost a round. Just in the fight, obviously it looks different when you watch it back, so I can see maybe why people thought that. But when you're in there and you're actually feeling the damage, you're feeling the shots, and you know exactly what's happening. I was so confident that I was winning every round quite convincingly, really. I just didn't think I was taking any damage. I mean, it was just that one or two leg kicks that he landed, I think, right at the end. One of them hurt my leg a little bit, and I've got a little bit of a limp. Fair enough, credit to him. But that was it, and I didn't really feel it in the fight that much. I just knew that was a decent strike. But yeah, I was just so comfortable in there. I felt stronger in the grappling, the wrestling, pretty much what I thought it would be. I was just good. I did really hope that I was able to get that finish on him, but he was pretty tough. He was taking it and he was constantly giving it back.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's coming down a weight class as well, so he's naturally going to be the bigger man as well. What was really interesting was, I watched the fight and a lot of the commentators, and you actually made a video of this. So a lot of the commentators going, "Oh, he's landed a big right hand. Oh, he's backing Shaj up, or, all this kind of stuff." Looking back, was that a little bit frustrating to hear? I mean, obviously they saw something that they thought there was actually reality, but then when I rewatched, I think I watched it a couple of times now. It just seemed like you kind of just rolling with the punches, more so than anything else.
Yeah, so watching it back, that was one of the first things I noticed because especially because it was very fresh in my head still. When I first watched it back, I was thinking, they're making this seem like a closer fight. Just from listening, I was thinking, so I felt like I had to turn the sound off to watch it properly.
Yeah,
But listening to it, I was thinking, oh, they seem to say that I got hit a lot more. So then I started I was thinking, how is that? So then I was watching a bit closer, and then I started, whenever they were saying he was landing his shot, I thought, I'm just going to rewind it back and see, did I get hit? Because I don't remember it. And then when I looked closely, I was thinking, no, that's exactly what I thought. He was hitting my shoulders because I do a lot of that. I deflect shots very close. That's something that I train for, and I think that's one of my strengths, making people miss by small margins, because that's the aim. And I was landing little strikes in between those, and I just wasn't telegraphing my strikes. I just wasn't swinging wild. I was letting him waste his energy, really. And I didn't realize that from the outside you couldn't see those short strikes that I was hitting him with. You can just see his face going more and more red. Because I knew I was connecting, because the one I can see him live in front of me, I can see his face changing colour, and I can feel it. My hands are starting to hurt a little bit because I was connecting really frequently. But yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, kind of, when you watch it. But I enjoyed watching it anyways. But I could understand why they're seeing that. I was more shocked that the judges agreed with that, because there was a couple of judges gave him a round, so I thought the judges must have seen a little bit of that as well. So, but I was really shocked when they said, I think it was the third or fourth round, and they were saying the fight's razor thin, and I'm thinking,
yeah, it's ridiculous,
I didn't really
man.
feel like
so
it was razor thin. I felt like I went in that fifth round 100% sure I'm winning, and that he had to knock me out. But I actually wanted to try to get a knockout back as well, just to try to get a finish. So I was trying to put some pressure back on in that fifth round, because I was really hoping to get a finish on the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna try and get a, what was it? I think you you came out with a really funny statement. It was for the last fight against Sam Creasy. You said it was a jab from South Shields and a right hook from Bangladesh. How was it? By the way, I know already that you've fought in enemy territory before, because you fought in Kazakhstan against Zumagulov a few years ago, like quite a few years back. So how was it fighting? I mean, this is in Rome this time. You're obviously the defending champion, but you're in Rome. I mean, how was it this time round fighting in enemy territory as the champion?
I think now I'm in that point in my career. I'm so experienced. I understand all the feelings that you get and things like that. So I think I was a lot more better prepared for it now. When I fought Zalgas in Kazakhstan, it was different, and I felt like I learned a lot from that experience. It was a long trip. It was a long flight. There was a big time difference. I was a lot more jet lagged as well. And the crowd, it was like, I think it was like 10 or 12,000, I think, in that crowd. And obviously every time he's even landing a leg kick on me, they were screaming, "Ah!" So I was still pretty focused then, but I just remember that. And I just remember telling myself after these fights, I was like, I'm never going to let external factors ever bother me, because at the end of the day, once you close that door, that cage, nobody's allowed to come into that cage. Nobody else is going to have any real impact. So everything else is just sound. And I think through experience, you understand how to deal with that. And I went in there and I didn't even think of the crowd. That crowd didn't even, I can't even remember the crowd. I think I've just gotten so experienced at staying in the moment now that I don't even remember the crowd really. I can feel that whenever he was putting pressure, that the crowd was loud. So it makes you, I understand why it can make you feel like you're sometimes losing the fight. Just because when he's swinging punches and the crowd is screaming, and then when I'm landing, no one's making a noise. Maybe that's what was swaying some of the judges. You never know. But when I'm in there now, I know that's just me and somebody else. It doesn't matter what country, what place we're in. Inside that cage, it's just me and him. It doesn't. Everything else, nothing else really matters. So I was very prepared for this one.
That's that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looked it for sure. UFC's the goal. You've also been, you also kind of mentioned that Mokaev called your name out. What's the situation with that at the moment, Shaj?
He just kind of went silent on it. He just didn't want anything. So I was pretty excited. I thought, look, let's do it. UFC London, it was perfect. And then he sent me the message. I responded to it pretty quickly. I think I can't remember exactly. I had loads of messages then, but I think I responded pretty quick, and I was like, yes, dude, I was super excited. I was just ready to go. And I thought I would at least get something back. And then there was just nothing. He just didn't respond. I was like, oh, and then I think he had another fight suddenly booked. So I was a bit good. I thought I understand he's a very good fighter. But I really believe I'm on that level. I do think I can give him, I do believe I can beat him. I think stylistically, I'm a very awkward fight. I know he likes to wrestle, but I do believe my takedown defensive thing is a lot better now. And I think my striking is very unorthodox. I don't think he's ever fought anybody quite like me. So I was super excited for it. I love challenging myself, and I do believe I've got the tools to stop that hype train.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the flyweight division. I was speaking to another UFC flyweight, Charles Johnson, the other day, And he just mentioned, and it's true, all the UFC flyweights, they're either former champions, veterans, or just really, top prospects within the sport as well. So, there's a lot of kind of narrative with the UFC flyweight division not being as strong, but really it's actually one of the stronger divisions. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I agree in terms of the skill set. I think at the flyweight division, we have to, when we're in the gym, we're always the smaller guy. We're always having the tougher rounds. So we
Yeah.
always, I think, as flyweights, we learn to adapt to like challenges all of the time. So that's why you get like really high, really skillful fighters at flyweight. I think it's just a matter of just trying to. I think the UFC just need to give us a bit more attention, a little bit more effort, trying to actually build the fighters a little bit. And I think with enough attention, I do think slowly the flyweight division it's starting to get more and more talent through it. And I do think a few years later, I can see like superstars like a Prince Nassim for like boxing happening in the flyweight division. It's just a matter of time. So I think the UFC need to just to keep building that division. It is the newest division. It hasn't been around for as long, so that is why it's had a little bit of a slower start. But I strongly believe that there's some like serious prospects coming out of this division. And I do think in the next few generations, we're going to get like some of the biggest superstars in this division.
100%, man. But I'm going to switch up a gear a little bit. I want to go back to the origin a little bit, Shaj. How did you get into the sport? Obviously we could both tell we're both South Asian. So I need to ask you this question. Was it a little bit difficult to convince your parents to get into fighting? You're basically saying, I'm gonna fight in my shorts, and then they're like, "What? What are we talking about here? Like, you want to fight now?"
Because that is how it happens with the. I mean, I don't know. Maybe for others it could be different, but from the Asian community that I'm in, and the people that I know, my family, some of my friends as well, it is we train. Just we don't really tell our parents much. I just started just doing a club. I think my mom just knew that I was just going to some little club just to do some training things. She probably not knowing obviously like what type of like real training, but she just knew I was doing some training, and I was with my brother, so she thought, okay, that's fine. They're both together, and we should just go to it was like a kickboxing back then. I think I was 14 years old. Yeah, I was 14 when I first started, and we should just go there once a week. But obviously, we started getting really into it, so we started training more properly for it. We were the kind of kids that would train once a week because the club was only open once a week, but we'd then go and train in our houses and stuff with each other, with our brothers and friends and things like that. We would spawn back lanes and things just to get some extra training in. But then all of a sudden it's like we want to compete, but then now we do have to tell our parents. So it's kind of different. Like when you're in the obviously like our community, you're like the main challenge is how do you tell your parents?
Yeah,
You've done all this training, and you're more concerned about how they're going to take it, and then. So I mean, my family weren't too bad with it. One of the things I always remember, one of the things I always remember is I remember asking my dad if I can do it, and he was a bit reluctant because he didn't want me to get hurt and things, but he did eventually say yes, he can do it because it was a amateur kickboxing open tournament. You know those like ones where you just sign up on the day and you have like a tournament. It was one of those like kickboxing opens. And he had said I can fight in that. Unfortunately, before I actually got around to fighting on that, my dad actually passed away.
man.
Yeah, so I always remember him telling me that I could do it. So he kind of gave me the permission. And then when we got closer to the competition date, and then I had to ask my mom, and my mom was very reluctant, but I just told her that my dad did say I could do it, and then she obviously let me do it, and then that was kind of the start. Once I did that, I had my first win. I remember just feeling that thrill of winning, and it was just amazing. And I just thought I want to do that again. And from that, just kind of like went on. And then eventually, our club we started doing some MMA because it was kind of growing around that time. MMA wasn't very big, and there wasn't really any MMA gyms. People were just doing a bit of grappling and then trying a bit of kickboxing and then trying to fight MMA. And then gradually, as a few years later, I started doing MMA.
Incredible. The rest is history, isn't it?
I mean,
Cage Warriors flyweight champion.
my mom does still after every single fight ask me when am I going to stop.
Really?
every fight. She's like, "You're a coach. You can teach. Why don't you just teach now?"
Does she watch your fights at all, or did like do you?
She did watch this one. So a lot of them before she wouldn't watch them, and then afterwards, if I'd won, she'd watch them a little bit. But so she was very like hit and missy with watching. Sometimes she'd be yes, no, and but now she does watch them. It's nice. I like know my mom's watching it.
That's awesome, man. I mean, is she actually watching, or she's kind of watching like?
Yeah, I think, well, from obviously I'm not there when she's watching it, but from what I hear, she's there. She's doing dua for me all the time while she's watching it, and so it's just nice. But yeah, it's just very like half watching it, half not, and I think obviously it's funny because those that like, and especially in I don't know if it's in every community, but in, like with my mom and my older sisters and things and family, when they watch it, they don't often realize that the punches are what do most of the damage. Sometimes they think that when they're wrestling and they don't know someone's holding a body lock and squeezing, they think that is causing the most damage. So they're like, oh,
What?
when they're wrestling, so like wrestling when you're on top of somebody and pinning them and things, they think that's the most painful. So sometimes I watch fight like when they watch fights back with them. It's so funny to see that when someone doesn't really understand fighting, they don't really know what is the things that are causing the biggest damage. So like punches and things you're taking, and it's like, oh, okay, punching and kicking. But when they see like a takedown, like, oh, dear.
Oh
So
my
it's
god,
quite funny.
that is funny. That is super funny. I've seen you. So I've seen from previous videos. I just did a deep dive in your Instagram. Just kind of going through your old footage and stuff. You've actually trained your wife. You trained your nephew. Have you got your whole family into training? Is that the situation?
It seems like just over time. Yeah, my wife trains a little bit as well. She also coaches like some women's classes and things. So she's been involved in the sport for quite a long time. But then yes, my nephews. My nephews are like real prospects now. And I do see them going very far. We've got Sammy, Naim, and Sam. They're all brothers. Um, and one of them just made his debut yesterday. So now we've got all three of them doing it.
Oh,
So it's great. I love seeing them train as well because it reminds me of me and my brother used to train a lot and seeing them
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of follow suit a little bit. And I think it's just great for them. I think what happens is in my family, I think that the people like my older like sisters and mom and things, they're seeing now how how the sport actually helps us like stay out of all that trouble and things like that. I think because they've seen it with me, my brothers and others, and now I've set the example a little bit, and now they understand how it works. So although my sister is very, like my mom, very cautious of them getting hurt, she allows them to do it knowing that overall it keeps them away from doing much worse things. And I think they're starting to see the benefits of the sport other than just the fighting itself. And that's kind of the message that I'm trying to get across to more like of the South Asian community, you could say, and the Bangladeshi community. I try to
yeah,
explain that because I see so many talented young kids that I train. And a lot of them just over time they just lose interest because they don't get that support at home. They don't get
yeah.
they don't get encouraged to do it at home, or if anything, it's the opposite. They get told not to do it. So then, as soon as they feel a little bit of pressure, as soon as they go through a little bit of difficulty, they just think, "I'll just give it up." And I think that's
Mm,
a really sad thing to see because I believe that when I was growing older, when I was growing up, like a lot of the kids that I was growing up with, like that were my age, they were far more talented than me. I felt, but they just didn't have that drive. And as soon as they came across a little hurdles, they just give it up. They just like, let's just go to the next thing. And it was
yeah.
very easy because there was no support from home. There's no one telling them, no, you should keep doing it. You're actually very talented. So I think that's something that I'm trying to work on, especially in the local community, to try to encourage that. And it's good to see that because I think I've done it now. Every so often, I do get calls from like the older generation asking for their kids to do martial arts and things like that. So it's nice to see. I think it is gradually and over time it will overcome that kind of like that stereotype and the hurdle of the sport in the community.
Yeah, I mean, just based on like my own experience, I feel like a lot of South Asians they just generally want they want their kids to have a safe path in life, like be a professional, be an accountant, be a doctor, be an
Yeah, like
engineer.
accountant
You know,
tips.
not everyone could do that,
I've
man.
literally had that one. I've literally had that one. I had a little talk with some of my older family and things, and they literally told me like because what happened with me was when I was about 14, and I started the sport. Then by the time I turned like 16, leaving school, I decided I want to do something in sport. I'd made my decision. I don't want to work in like a takeaway or restaurant and things like that.
Yeah,
And I was sure that I wanted to do sports, so I went to college and studied sports, like sports, and then but once I was leaving college, I decided I'm going to go to uni and study sports coaching even further. And I think it was around that time when I was making the decision to go to university. I had like I'll not mention names and things, but someone in my older family was trying to sit me down, have a little talk, and advise me, saying like maybe you should they was being supportive, but
yeah, yeah, of
and I can
course.
see they were
Yeah,
thinking of my best interest, but they were trying to explain to me how it's good that I'm doing the sport and it's good for a hobby and my health and things, but they couldn't see but they weren't seeing me be able to make a career and a living from it. So they were saying, oh, maybe you should look into accountants or something like that when you go to university. Do the sport, but study accounting, study
Yeah.
this and that on the side, so that you can then, you have a better, like, you can work in a bank and things like that. And I just told them, I was saying, I understand that. One thing I knew is that I couldn't work behind a desk. I just knew I didn't have that kind of skill, and I just couldn't see myself doing that. And I was trying to explain there is careers in coaching, and I said I would rather make less money and do something that I enjoy, like coaching and teaching or whatever I can do, than try to make lots of money and like hate what I do every single day. And that's the mindset that I always had. I thought even now I still have it. I'm not, as long as I can pay my bills, pay things for my family, I don't need lots of money. I feel rich because I get to do what I do every single day. And
Yes.
I'm really happy that I'm really happy with the decision I made back then,
Yeah.
and where it's got me.
Yeah, because you could have easily listened to your relative. Obviously, is looking out for you. You could have been an accountant for 40 years, and then by age 60, you're like, I could have been a fighter. You
Yeah,
know,
literally. Yeah.
you're not going to win either way, so you might as well just do what you love, isn't it? So we actually asked this question to everyone, just to switch up a little bit more. We asked this to everyone, all our guests in the show, because we're big on, kind of overcoming anxiety. And yeah, how do you deal with that anxiety walking into a cage, going into a cage and fighting another man? How do you deal with that, or do you deal with it? Is it something that doesn't even cross your mind?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I do a lot of over the years, and I feel I've gotten much better at it, of learning how to deal with like just nerves and anxiety, like you were saying, before fights. Because I've suffered performance anxiety quite badly before fights, where you get real jitters. And sometimes I used to think, why am I getting that? And I'm even talking about in my more recent fights, I've even felt it a little bit. And it is just it doesn't matter how much you prepare, you'll still feel it. But if the competition, if you've put all the training in and everything, and it comes down to just 15 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, you'll always feel it. And what I've learned is things that I've learned to do about it is, one of the big things is just breathing techniques.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how effective it is until more recent years. I did lots of them. I just had a fight gone just last weekend. I've learned, like, with loads of different breathing techniques, there's different things that it does. Certain breathing techniques bring your heart rate up to get you ready to do things. Certain ones bring yourself down. Other ones help you stay focused, like mindful breathing. And I just didn't realize, see, when I was young, I never put so much value into breathing techniques. So now I do things like training up for the fight. I do mindful breathing. I do like, I even do the Wim Hof breathing. That one
I
helps.
was gonna ask, yeah.
I do that one. That one helps my lungs and everything. That one's it's amazing. I know some people think it's crazy, but I started doing it.
Well,
Just
you
and
could go
I
you could
was
go
really
for 10
impressed.
rounds. So yeah, I don't disbelieve it.
Literally.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then there's the other ones, like, that you do, like the breathing to bring your heart rate down, like box breathing and things to keep yourself under control. That Andrew Huberman talks about it, that psychological, what do you call it? The psychological sigh or physiological sigh. And it's just where you take a deep breath in, and you do another deep breath, and then you let it out. And that one is scientifically proven to bring your heart rate and everything down. And that one helps loads. That one you can literally do like anytime. So I use a lot of breathing techniques to keep my body and my mind calm. And then the rest of it is also just visualization.
Yeah.
When I'm, especially for competition and things, making sure you're mentally prepared. So I try to visualize all the scenarios that could possibly happen, good scenarios, bad scenarios, and the scenarios that I want to happen and things like that. And then it's just a lot of it's experience as well. Over time, I now look at it, I'm thinking, what's the worst that's going to happen? That's the kind of mindset I sometimes have. I think I've been in there that many times. It's what's like in terms of like damage and things. I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to be all right. I just got to go in there and try my best. As long as I try my best, I know that whatever happens has happened. I've learned that there's been a few times where I felt like I went into that fight or the cage and performed, and I didn't try my best. I felt like I had more to give. Them are
Yeah.
the ones that I regret the most. But the fights that I've gone in there and really went for it, and whether it went my way or not, I come out and I'm thinking, right, well, I gave it everything. Right, what can I improve on it? It's easier to reflect on that way. And I say that to my guys when I teach them, like the amateurs, debuts, especially when it's the first time. I always tell them the only thing you regret is going in there and not trying your best. If you try
Yeah.
your best, you give it your all, then you lose. Then the guy that's beat you is probably going to be very good, and you can live with that. But when you go in there and you feel like you got beat by someone you're better than, and that didn't, and because you just didn't try hard enough, that's the ones that you regret the most, and that's the hardest ones to live with.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I saw also that you've this is not, you know, I've just been kind of just stalking your Instagram, but I saw an old picture. I saw an old picture, yeah, where you've actually taken a picture with GSP, which is
Oh
insane.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Where was that? Like, you know, firstly, where was that? You've also took a picture with Firas, Zahabi. Shout out both of them. You know, both legends
Yeah,
of the
so
sport.
I trained in
How did that happen?
TriStar. Yeah, so my wife actually trekked me to a holiday to TriStar. So she I didn't she saved up and everything. She paid for the whole trip.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, so
Damn.
she said she, you know, she knows that I want to meet because I love watching for Zahabi and listening and learning from him. And I'm also a big GSP fan. So so she was like she's going to take me there, and she actually I didn't really when she first said it, I didn't really think much of it, but she actually did it. So so I actually went, and coincidentally the time that I had went, that was the same week that GSP announced his retirement. So we
Oh
went
wow.
there.
No way.
Yes, I was there for it. Yes, I was there for it. And when he did, so I actually did so there's a session that he does. I think it was on a Monday, and he was actually only when he's in town, and he was actually in town, so he did that class then. I got to meet him, got to see him, like you know, and just like do a session of his. It was really good to just get that experience. And then he did actually, I think it was the day after or something like that. He actually announced his retirement, which is pretty cool just to be in the gym in that time when that was happening, because it was a big it was a big occasion.
Yeah.
And I met Faraz as well. I learned so much in that one. I think we went for 1 week or 10 days. It was I just learned so much of just seeing how he runs a session. Him as like Faraz as a coach, just watching him and just seeing how they train, meeting other like high level professionals in there, training with them. I even got to ask Jude St. Pierre a question. It's quite funny. There was one of the days he was just in there. It's crazy because he's obviously like, you know, the greatest fighters ever. And in the gym, he's just like a normal guy. He's just hitting the bag in the corner and things. There's no special treatment for him. And I was just standing behind him, just watching him hitting the bag. And I'm itching to ask him something. I'm thinking, I've got to ask him something. But then I'm at the same time, I don't want to like disturb his training. I'm thinking, I don't want to be that guy. But I'm like, I'm only here once. I get one shot. I want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
ask him
yeah, of
something.
course.
So then I thought, what can I ask him? I've always wanted to ask, like, know how he like times takedowns and things. I thought,
Yeah.
I need to ask him that. And then I was just hitting the bag beside him, and then I thought, I'm going to ask him it. If I don't ask him now, I'm going to regret this opportunity. So I just asked him, I went to George, I went, oh, do you mind tell me like how or the best way that you like time takedowns? And then he was really nice. He just told me straight away. He just showed me, took me onto the bag, and he was just showing, look, so this is how I use my jab. It was just the
Wow.
key is the jab. He was just saying jab this, fake the jab this way, and then he was like showing how to like, and just doing a little level change. Just spent like 2 minutes telling me that. But the information that I got from there, just watching him, just hearing it from him, and realize, and just it just opened my eyes to like loads of different things. And I really believed I just that one little detail he gave me helps me improve my timing and my takedowns.
Yeah.
Even now, I still use that same drill that he told me. Just he didn't really tell me a drill, just like a 10-second explanation, but I just use it as a drill. And I've been doing that ever since. And I really think that's one of the things that's helped me with my takedown timing and things now. And I always tell my guys as well, it's like when when you get an opportunity to meet somebody that's of a high level and they don't have much time, asking the right questions is key. Because I could have easily asked them like fanboy questions and things like that. What's your favorite food? And do you know what I mean? Like what people do, I was thinking, you don't have time to ask them any questions. Make your question count. If you ask the right people the right questions, like it can change it. And for me, that
Yeah.
really helped me. That little detail that he gave me there was more valuable than knowing what's his favorite color and things like that.
Yeah, no, it translates well, man, because I've seen the way you time your shot. Your shot is comes from nowhere. Honestly, it's like it's very, very difficult to read. So, shout out GSP for that. Like, is he as nice as you expected in real life? Like, or not
Yeah, I
even
mean,
nicer? Like,
yeah, just because I know how me being a professional fighter myself, I kind of know how professionals can. So I assumed he
yeah,
would be
they're
like
nice.
that.
Yeah,
But when you actually see him like that, you're like, it's just great. It's just great to know that it doesn't matter how great you get, you're just another guy in the gym, and that's what I've always believed. And I feel like that all the time. That's why even in my gym, I don't try to give myself special treatment in any way. I think all the guys deserve, the same kind of treatment. So if I have like even in my gym, have like the high level fighters and a new guy, as long as that new guy's giving it his all, he's training hard. I'll still give him give him some time. I'll still help him out. He still deserves the same level of like treatment as anybody else. So that's kind of when I see like these high level guys like Faraz like run sessions like that, and GSP just the way he is as well in his gym. I try to like take that and I bring it to my gym. I think that I see that, and I think that it shows that you can be like that and still become the best in the world. So there's no reason not to be like that. So I think it's something I learned from just seeing that and realizing, you don't have to try to be special, or act all special. You can still stay humble and still get to the top.
Absolutely. Well, JSP is obviously in my Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters. So this actually leads me to my next question. I'm sure he's going to be in the Mount Rushmore of your, the greatest MMA fighters. If you had to pick five, let's stick to five. If you had to pick five of your greatest MMA fighters of all time, who would that be?
Right. Ooh, it's a big one. That if you think greatest of all time, it's such a tough question because
I know.
Time is really such difficult. I always hear. I feel like it's the word the GOAT gets chucked around too much these days. But if I had to go over guys, I'd say I've done the best achievements in MMA from the top of my head right now. One of them has to be BJ Penn. I think he's
definitely
underappreciated. He's underappreciated. Yeah. That guy, what he did, he was one of the first guys to move up a division and fight GSP. And the first time, I think it was a split decision or something. I know the second time
as well.
Sorry,
he fought Lyoto Machida as well.
Yeah, he did. And I just think that guy, that when I was growing up, he was just an absolute phenom. Who else was there? There was also who's the other one? Oh, Anderson has to be in that talk. Although since he got popped, I felt like I lost a bit for him. But he was unreal. He was one of my favorite fighters growing up, and just what he did, it was just insane. I think so he's got to be in there. You're gonna have to have GSP, like we just said there. GSP has to be in there. He's 100% there. He's done it all really. GSP. I think he's just incredible, just as an athlete and everything. I think he almost he's almost like the Floyd. He was almost like the Floyd Mayweather for MMA. Just how perfect he did things. It was insane. I just think his approach to everything is incredible. And then you have to give Jose Aldo. I know Conor McGregor kind of ruined it for him, but Jose Aldo, what he was doing was insane. When you actually look back before that McGregor fight, and it was nearly 10 years or something, or 5 to 10 years, he was just you just couldn't see a weakness in him. And I think so. I'd say Jose Aldo has to be there. And then for the fifth one, I think I'd go with Shaj Haque. He's kind of good. He's incredible. He's fast. He's good. No, I'm not. For the fifth, I can't think of it. Who else could I? Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing somebody that's. See,
I don't want to influence
a lot of people say John Jones, but I just with his steroids and things and all the things, and I feel I can't put him there. I understand in his performance he's achieved that, but just I really believe he's been on steroids earlier in his career, and I think that kind of taints his entire legacy. So that's the only reason I feel I can't give GSP that same respect. I guess it'll be Khabib. I feel like Khabib retired a bit too early. I mean, although I think Khabib is a skill set amazing, and I just feel like he retired a bit too early to be the greatest of all time. I feel like you're going to have had that title for more than a few years and actually fight and repeat that, how Jose Aldo and things were doing it, where they're just the champs for so long. I feel like you'd have to do something more like that. So although I really respect Khabib's ability, and I think he's phenomenal in what he does, and I feel like if he did carry on, he could have been that. But it's just with him retiring too early, I feel like you can't give him that credit straight away. I think he just retired a bit too early, didn't have a long enough career to say he's the greatest of all time. That's a big statement when you say that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, with Khabib, and I think he's a legend, by the way. I think he's one of the greatest legends of MMA ever.
Oh yeah, I love
purely for the fact that he dominates everyone. When have you ever seen Khabib, with blood on his face? Never. You've never even seen it with blood on his face. So for that alone, that's legendary. But he's only fought maybe 4 or 5 really top ranked guys.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's just.
I just think he for what he was doing at that moment, that was him at his peak. Just like if you look back at what Jose Aldo and stuff were doing, Anderson Silva was doing at their peak. Imagine they just retired then. So
exactly.
So would that exactly. So I think you do have to be able to be up there. I think you do have to have a bit longer of a career. But like I say, him at his peak, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a question. I don't know. Have you seen that Bradley Martin clip by any chance?
No, I'm not sure.
It's a bodybuilder podcaster, and he's recently come out saying, well, not recently, but a few days, saying that, and he's 260 pounds, 120 kilos, and he goes, he's not really skilled, he's just big, and he's going around saying I could probably beat Demetrius Johnson in a street fight. Have you ever had that before? Because obviously you're a flyweight as well. Have you ever had some guy who's about 120 going, yeah, I could probably beat you? And what's your thoughts on that, generally speaking?
To be fair, I think when it's that big of a size difference, when you say a street fight, I feel like there's just too many variables. Do you mean as in like in a square room with nothing there, and then you just
Nothing
have a
there,
fight?
yeah, no weapons, just
yeah, that's
just
it.
yeah.
So just a fist on fist fight. I think if you've got no experience, then the little guy's still going to eventually come out on top. If you're gonna go someone like the level of like Demetrius Johnson and like professional fighters like us, I think you will just through sheer experience of fighting. I think if you just put us in a room, but I do understand. Like, say if it's in like, I don't know, you're in a bus stop or something like that, and a big guy just gets a hold of it before you're ready and things like that, and all that happens, and you're getting punched and stuff. Then yes, us as smaller guys, it's gonna be very hard for us to deal with someone that big. If you just get like, if it just happens in a surprise and you're not ready, those things like size does, when you look talking about that size, like double the size of you, that does make quite a big difference. In terms of still not, can they then finish you off on the floor? Probably not still, but you never know what happens like with that. Like, you can smash your head off the floor, something like that. Anything can happen in them situations. But I think if it's just two people having a fair fight, and they're both ready to start, I do think the more skillful athlete more skillful fighter, like, if it's that big of a margin, will come out on top. So I do think the little guy will come out on top. If it's that, I don't know if you've seen it. There's that street fight video of Robbie Brown with that versus that Decker. I don't know. Even I think Joe Rogan and things were even mentioning it. So it's someone that I actually trained with, and he was
Robbie Brown.
Yeah, Robbie Brown. He did the. He's just he was an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
But he started doing like some of those bare knuckle fights, and this was just like a total like a street fight. This one, so anything goes. And they just had it in like some sort of alleyway thing. I can't remember where it was, underneath some sort of bridge thing. And then it was just it went like viral, the video, but it showed though he got the better of this bigger guy. Now the other guy was like a heavyweight. Robbie Brown's like my weight, maybe a little bit bigger than me. So, and just to see how he got the better of him. I mean, he wasn't killing him all the way through, but he managed to take him down, get on top, and you just see the guy like really bloodied up as well. But just to see the size difference, and the other guy is trained as well. It's not like he's untrained. He's I think he's quite a good like bare knuckle boxer. But it just showed like someone that knows some MMA versus someone much bigger that knows some boxing. So after seeing that, it made me think even more that like guys that know how to fight will usually come out on top. Unless there's like those uncertain circumstances that happen. But in a fair fight, the little guy's still coming out on top if they know how to fight.
That's what I think, man. I mean, I honestly, I've just got so much respect for the skill level of high level MMA fighters. I mean, I don't know if you've I don't know if you were a big fan of Pride FC back in the day.
Yeah, well, that's what Anderson
Fatal versus Hongman Choi. Do you remember that? It was like, what
is that
the
one
hell
with
is
the
this,
suplex?
man?
Is that the one with the suplex? That fight? Is that one?
No, that was Kevin Randleman, but he
basically
got him in an armbar. Hongman Choi is 7'2", and he's 300.
That guy, yes.
Yeah, that skyscraper guy. And then there was also Bob Sap. There's also Bob Sap, versus Nogueira. That was so ridiculous. I think Nogueira even said I was never the same after that. Like, you got slammed on the ground.
Yeah, Bob Sap was. Yeah, Bob Sap was a mad one because one minute he looked like an absolute beast, but then you look like you just quit after certain fights. It's just he's very like I didn't know how to kind of take Bob Sap, but he was a scary looking guy. I actually met Bob Sap once. He actually came to.
No way.
Yeah, it was when he was. I think he was meant to be fighting on one of the Bama shows, and I think the show got cancelled due to some snow problem. But he was actually in. Came to South Shields and he came down when I was still in the community centre. So I was like, only starting. I got a little picture doing a face off with him. I've actually got one somewhere, and he was a dinosaur. He was like a living dinosaur. He was actually a nice guy. Like, he was actually a really nice guy.
He's an enormous guy. We were meant to have him on a while ago, actually. I'm not sure what happened there. I jogged my memory. I'm gonna have to message Bob Sap. But yeah, Shaj, I've got one final question before we end off. 5 years from now, Shaj, Shaj's the MMA fighter, Shaj, the father, civilian. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's funny. It's hard to like. I see myself like coaching some of the best fighters as well. It's like because I see myself as a coach and a fighter. I'm really not sure. It's a tricky one. Like say, I used to try to like think really far ahead. Like now instead of that, I just have like a goal. So my goal is to be like I want to be a UFC world champ, or I just want to be the best that I can be. So I'm just gonna listen to my body and just keep training, keep fighting for as long as I can. While my body allows it. I don't think I'm going to be silly and just keep fighting for the sake of fighting when my body's not going to let me. So I want to enjoy fighting while I can. So in terms of my fighting career, I do see myself still winning maybe another world title. If I don't get the Cage Warriors world title, maybe I'll be fighting for another world title. I still want to test myself against the best fighters that I can test myself against. So I really hope I get that UFC shot, because that is what my actual vision shows me that I'm in the UFC. I feel like I can see it. So I'm just hoping that comes to be. But I'm also realistic with myself. But I also feel like in 5 years' time, I think I'm going to have some pros, like my nephews that I was talking about, a few others, that'll be in talks of fighting in the UFC. So I think I've got a few like serious talents, and I think in the next 5 years, people are going to be talking about those guys in the UFC. So if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. But either way, I will be in that UFC, whether it's as a coach or a fighter.
Hell yes. Awesome. And I can't wait to see the journey, Shaj. But look, thank you for your time, Shaj. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man. Got a lot of things going on. But I'm going to give you the final, final word. Tell the folks where they can find you. Tell them where they can, follow you on Instagram, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so I've got obviously I'm on Facebook, Shaj Superman Haque. So please do follow me on that page. And I'm also on Instagram, Superman Shaj. On Instagram. I've also I'm trying to get my YouTube channel going, so I'm on YouTube as well. I haven't been as active because I was fighting at the moment, so I do have a YouTube channel. Yeah, Shaj Superman Haque. I've got some technique videos on there. I'm putting out technique that really works. I'm not trying to just like share anything. So I'm putting out drills and techniques I think that are quite unique. So anyone that's serious about training and learning, I will be putting some good stuff out there. So have a watch out for it.
100%. I'm gonna look forward to seeing that as well, Shaj. But thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. Appreciate that.